Mesothelioma is an aggressive form of cancer that develops from the mesothelium, which is a protective lining that covers most of the body's internal organs. The mesothelium is found in the pleural cavity surrounding the lungs, the peritoneum cavity surrounding the abdomen, and the pericardium surrounding the heart. Most cases of mesothelioma are caused by exposure to asbestos, with the time between first exposure and diagnosis of mesothelioma being 20 to 50 years on average. Traditional treatment options for mesothelioma include surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy. The goals of treatment depend on the stage of disease and overall health of the patient. For earlier stage disease, the main treatment is typically surgery. The most common type of surgery for pleural mesothelioma is called extrapleural pneumonectomy, EPP, which involves removing one lung, the lining of the lung cavity, part of the diaphragm, and tissues between the lungs. For peritoneal mesothelioma, the primary surgical treatment is called cytoreductive surgery. This involves removing any tumors found within the abdominal cavity along with portions of the peritoneum, bowel, and other organs as necessary to remove all visible cancer. After surgery, additional treatment with chemotherapy is often used. Platinum-based chemotherapy regimens like cisplatin or carboplatin are most commonly used. Sometimes pemetrexed, Alinta, is added to a platinum drug. For unresectable mesothelioma, chemotherapy is usually the primary treatment option. Common chemotherapy regimens include cisplatin or carboplatin plus pemetrexed. Radiation therapy may occasionally be used for mesothelioma, usually after surgery to destroy any remaining cancer cells and reduce the risk of recurrence. However, mesothelioma is typically not very sensitive to radiation. While these traditional treatments can help improve prognosis and survival rates for some patients, outcomes are still often poor. The median survival rate with surgery alone is usually 12 to 21 months, while adding chemotherapy or chemoradiation after surgery may extend median survival to around 23 to 47 months. For patients with unresectable disease treated with chemotherapy alone, median survival is typically 9 to 16 months. Many patients ultimately experience recurrence of their cancer. Due to the aggressive nature of mesothelioma and limitations of standard therapies, new treatment approaches are needed to improve outcomes. One emerging area of research is the use of immunotherapy to better target and destroy mesothelioma cells. Immunotherapy helps boost the body's own immune system to fight cancer by preventing tumor cells from hiding from immune cells and increasing the ability of immune cells like T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells to recognize and eliminate cancerous cells. There are a few different types of immunotherapy being studied for mesothelioma, including checkpoint inhibitors, cancer vaccines, and CAR T-cell therapy. Checkpoint inhibitors function by blocking certain proteins made by some types of immune cells, called checkpoints, that can keep other immune cells from killing cancer cells. For example, antibodies targeting programmed cell death protein 1, PD-1, or its ligand PD-L1 work by blocking these proteins and thus releasing the brakes on T cells and enabling them to better destroy cancer cells. Currently, the PD-1 checkpoint inhibitor pembrolizumab, Keytruda, is FDA approved for treating malignant pleural mesothelioma whose tumors express PD-L1 and who haven't responded to standard chemotherapy. Several clinical trials have shown response rates around 20% for pembrolizumab with generally manageable side effects. Improved outcomes compared to chemotherapy alone appear possible. Other checkpoint inhibitors like nivolumab are also being studied in combination with chemotherapy or other immunotherapies. Cancer vaccines target specific antigens found on mesothelioma cells to provoke an immune response against the tumor. For example, MBA5T4 is a vaccine containing a modified vaccinia virus strain combined with tumor antigens to stimulate an immune attack against mesothelioma cells. Phase 2 trials showed up to 26% of patients experienced stabilization or regression of their cancer. Larger studies with this and other vaccine approaches are still needed, but they show promise as an immunotherapy option either alone or combined with checkpoint inhibitors or other agents. Chimeric antigen receptor (CAR) T-cell therapy is an emerging area of immunotherapy involving collecting a patient's own T-cells, reprogramming them to express CARs targeting antigens on cancer cells, then returning the enhanced CAR T-cells to the body to attack tumor cells. While CAR T-cell therapy has had some great successes treating blood cancers, it is still early in development for solid tumors like mesothelioma. Researchers are working to identify suitable antigens to target and ways to ensure CAR T-cells can infiltrate and function properly in solid tumor microenvironments. Early-phase trials are ongoing using CAR T-cells targeting mesothelin, an antigen highly expressed on malignant pleural and peritoneal mesothelioma cells. While traditional treatments can provide some benefit for mesothelioma, overall outcomes remain poor with current standards of care. Promising results are now emerging from clinical trials evaluating various immunotherapy approaches such as checkpoint inhibitors, cancer vaccines, and CAR T-cell therapy. Combining immunotherapies with each other or with other standard therapies may lead to even better outcomes. Immunotherapies also tend to have fewer side effects than chemotherapy or extensive surgery for most patients. More research is still needed, but immunotherapy is increasingly becoming an important new treatment option for improving survival rates and long-term outcomes compared to traditional therapies alone for patients diagnosed with malignant mesothelioma.